What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Call of Duty World War II on BlackTideTV. In today's episode, I have something of a listicle for you of the top 5 best basic training abilities in Call of Duty World War II multiplayer, at least as far as I'm concerned. I do have a couple honorable mentions with the Resistance update, but we'll leave those towards the end, as I'd like to more or less focus on the base in-game basic trainings. That is, the basic training abilities that you can unlock by ranking up and simply unlocking them at certain levels and or prestiging certain divisions to earn the extra basic trainings towards the end. If you did not know already, when you prestige each of your divisions, I think it's the first time you prestige them, you'll be given a free basic training as well as a free weapon. You get the weapons like the MP40, the Kar 98K, but you also get basic trainings that come alongside them. And some of those basic trainings are very powerful, but today I've got 5 or rather 6 because one of my basic training abilities was very powerful until it was recently nerfed, and I've replaced it with another ability which isn't the best, but I wanted to make a list of 5, so I have 5 or rather 6 base in-game basic training abilities for you in today's video. Not in any particular order, there are some that I value above others, and these aren't even all of the basic trainings that I will use on a daily basis. There are certain classes where I will use Forage or I will use Primed, simply based on the weapon at hand, but for the most part, these are the basic training abilities that I will almost always go to for my top tier weapons, for my top tier classes, and in all of the general scenarios that I find myself in Call of Duty World War II multiplayer. The first being Instincts, and this is one that there is almost a gentleman's agreement on the multiplayer side of things to not use. This is one of the very first basic training abilities that you have access to, and it will basically give you a warning when targeted off screen, and you can detect enemy explosive equipment. The explosive equipment is more or less a bonus where you can see enemy trip mines, or you can see frag grenades flying through the air. They'll glow red, and you'll see the trip mines and they'll glow red, which is actually very, very helpful because those trip mines can be very annoying, and if you're not using flanker, it's very hard to avoid them, and you'll probably end up dying to a lot of trip mines. The extra added effect of seeing enemy explosive equipment is really great, but it's the main ability of Instincts, that warning when you're targeted off screen. It's not realistic, it's not particularly something that you would expect from Call of Duty World War II. This is actually ripped straight from Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, where when anyone is aiming at you ever and they are not on your screen, your whole screen glows yellow. So you know that someone is aiming at you, and it can be extremely, extremely powerful. I almost used this basic training ability exclusively at the beginning of the game because it was so strong. You can just turn on people and you can catch people by surprise. You always know when you're being targeted. You can jump out of the way. It's very powerful, and that's why a lot of people are staying away from it, because it's borderline overpowered. There really isn't a counter for it, and it's just very, very powerful. And if you're new to the game, I would definitely advise that you use it because it can be very helpful. But for the most part, if you're an experienced player and you've already completed your challenges with Instincts, please stay away from Instincts because it is so powerful to the point where that's why a lot of people don't want you to use it. Next up, we have Hunker, and this is one that a lot of the pros use as far as I'm concerned. They do use Armored Division as well, but most people in the pro scene, they're using like Mountain Division and they're using like Hunker just to stay away from the radars and to stay away from the frag grenades. Hunker basically gives you an early grenade warning, and you take less explosive damage. On top of that, you can also reset the fuse of your Mark II Fragmentation on throwback. So if you're throwing back a frag grenade, it's going to reset the fuse. You don't have to worry about that thing blowing up in your hands, which can be very great for completing certain challenges in the game for throwing back grenades, but it's all about that less explosive damage. This is equivalent to the less explosive damage that you'll be taking from the Armored Division. So basically, you can have the best ability from the Armored Division on any other division in the game, and that's why the pros will tend to use Hunker on top of Mountain Division or on top of Airborne Division, so that they can have that increased mobility or that increased stealth and have the resistance to frag grenades, because frag grenades are so incredibly powerful in this game. Explosives are so incredibly powerful in this game, especially with the recent addition of Saboteur. this is a very, very, very helpful basic training ability if you aren't going to be using the Armored Division. And the Armored Division is one of the least popular divisions in the game, strangely enough, although it is very powerful. So this is a great basic training ability. The only thing is, you will have to prestige your Armored Division to unlock this one. Next up is my personal favorite. I have it on a lot of my classes. It's what you are seeing in the gameplay today, and that is Lookout. Enemy targets appear from further away and increase minimap coverage. So the minimap coverage thing, I've never really understood how that works. I think it makes the minimap smaller so that you can see wider around. I'm not really sure. I've never really given it that much thought, because the main ability here is enemy targets appear from further away, and this is a godsend in hardcore game modes, which is what you're seeing in the gameplay. Basically, red names will pop up over your enemies when they come into your field of view. Generally, it has to do with what kind of range they are at. I'm not sure if the weapons themselves actually allow you to see people at a further range, like if the weapon has a longer range, if you'll see them from further away. I kind of feel like that's how it works, because sometimes when you're using a sniper rifle, you'll see those red names completely across the map, but Lookout completely helps you there as well. Lookout will give you those red names a lot sooner. You'll see those red names from a lot further away, and that can be very, very helpful when you're using a one-shot to kill weapon like the M1A1 in hardcore game modes. You will see those red names and you can just start firing. You don't need to worry about if that's a teammate, if that's an enemy. Their name will pop up, you will know that's an enemy, and you can start spraying at them. You don't need to see them particularly on the other side of the map. Sometimes it can be very, very difficult to see enemies in this game because of the color scheme of the game, and that red name will just completely give them away. Sometimes the red name pops up through walls and through like places where you would never see the person, but you see the name and you can just start spraying. It's a really, really powerful basic training. I use it on almost every single class, all of my sniper classes, all of my hardcore classes. It is my personal favorite. Another close favorite of mine, Requisitions, is criminally underrated, as this one will no longer reset your score streaks on death. The score streaks will cost more and can only be earned once, but this is your one-way ticket to calling in paratroopers, carpet bombing, and ball turret gunners as long as you are earning 30 kills in any respective match. It really depends on the game mode itself, and certain game modes are certainly better than others. Hardpoint is extremely beneficial when you are using Requisitions. You can almost always guarantee yourself top tier streaks as long as you are earning 30 kills, as long as you're playing the objective minimally. Capture the flag is very good, kill confirmed. Basically anything where you are earning extra points for killing enemies in certain situations. But any low skill player can use this ability to earn any of their streaks, complete any of their score streak challenges. For the most part, your streaks will cost about twice as much. Sometimes it's a little lower, sometimes it's a little higher, but even the highest streak in the game, the ball turret gunner, will only cost you 3,600 points. That is very, very manageable, especially in longer tier game modes like Hardpoint, even for those lower skill players. So it is a very powerful ability. It will allow you to call in more and more score streaks. You can only call in those score streaks once per game, but for someone who doesn't really have the chance to call in those higher tier streaks, or for someone who wants to go balls to the wall playing the objective and you still want to earn those higher streaks, there you go. Requisitions is very, very powerful. Next up, I have my 5th and 6th entries. The 5th entry, my original 5th entry, is Espionage. Bullet damage paints enemies on the minimap for your team, and the bonus reveals enemy score streaks on the minimap. The bonus isn't very helpful, especially because you can't use launched and launchers alongside this basic training ability, but the main ability was once much more powerful. Before, any damage would mark enemies on the radar. You could throw concussions across the map, mark a bunch of enemies, and then run up and kill them all. Now you actually have to impact them with bullets. It's not as powerful anymore, and so I've replaced Espionage on my list. My 5th entry now, or rather my 6th entry, is going to be Hustle, which is very basic. Reload faster and while sprinting. Certain weapons in this game take a very long time to reload. I like to use this on the M1941 Johnson. It just makes the weapon a lot more manageable, a lot more SMG-like. And so I really like to use Hustle on certain classes, but that is more or less a space holder because Espionage was nerfed and it isn't as applicable anymore. Last but not least, I have 2 honorable mentions for you with the Resistance update. First up is Saboteur, shortening the fuse of explosives and giving you an extra lethal equipment. You can use this on any lethal. The satchel charge you can now air burst. Frag grenades blow up very quickly and they are used like crazy in war modes. Saboteur is one of the best basic trainings in the game. And Shifty, additional pistol attachment and unlimited pistol ammunition. Bonus, the pistol magazine is always full when you switch to it. This is very good for hardcore as well, especially with that new pistol, which is a one-shot kill at all ranges in hardcore, pretty much. It is very, very powerful to have unlimited pistol ammo. You can YY very quickly to reload that pistol. It's a pretty powerful ability. I would definitely recommend you check out both of those new Resistance abilities. Let me know what your favorite basic training is in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video, subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next one.